Hello guys, and welcome back into the gaming cupboard for a video response video. And as per the thumbnail, you know what it's about. Fantastic topic, started by, I think it was a lad up north. It's gone through Ganardino Plays, then through Sean Retro Games Revived, and who's tagged me in it. And yeah, a fantastic one that I've really had to deliberate on for some time. It being your 5 most nostalgic PlayStation 1 games. So nostalgic being to me, not necessarily the best games for the PlayStation 1, not necessarily your favourite games for the PlayStation 1, but the most nostalgic ones to you. So the ones that you kind of look back on fondly. And yeah, this is a very, very tricky one. So I actually got it down to 6. But the 6th one, like, that I've given the bump is a Die Hard trilogy playing in the background. Now, why I've given it the bump is probably because it's a little bit of a cheat. It's 3 games in one. But you've got Die Hard 1 where you just run around Nakatomi Plaza shooting people. Die Hard 2, which is a brilliant light gun game. Really enjoyed that one. And then Die Hard 3 where you're driving in the, a taxi. And you've got to get to checkpoints before the time runs out or just everything will blow up. And if you complete them all, you get this weird kind of spinning cube that says well done for completing Die Hard trilogy, because I did actually play through and complete all of these games on the memory card to actually get that. But yeah, really fun. In fact, Die Hard 3 I think I found the hardest, because in the last level you had to hit these boost jumps and then drive into a helicopter a number of times before it hit the ground. So yeah, fantastic game, and just one that I remember everyone having when they had a PlayStation 1, and it was just a staple of like having a PlayStation 1, having this game to play. So yeah, didn't quite make the top 5, but put it in there just for the sake that I've got to have it seen somewhere. So yeah, the actual 5 games themselves, really, really tricky, this one. You'll probably have some repeats of some games people have said before, and maybe some kind of curveballs in there, but we'll see what you think. So I didn't get a PlayStation 1 until quite late on. I think when I finally got a PlayStation 1, it was probably 1998 that I actually picked one up. And yeah, I just remember before then playing on my friends, thinking this is an amazing system. And there was just a few games that I just kind of remember back so fondly to. And I think it might even been 99. It was quite late on that I actually got one. I remember playing with my friends. There were some games on the N64 that had to be played. It was like GoldenEye, Lilac Wars. They were the 2 games on that system that I just remember so fondly. But on the PlayStation 1, as well as Die Hard Trilogy, the other game that I remember being wowed by at the time, and looking back at it, I don't really know why, because it's just been done so many times over, is Grand Theft Auto. Now this game, I think, also released at the PC at the time, and this was still around the time where you had the wars between the console players and the PC gamers about which was the best, PC or console. Console was made specifically for games. PC's arguably more powerful at the time. It had gone past kind of Amiga and things like that. But this game, I just remember playing. It didn't really have any kind of story or anything like that. It was just kind of an open world game. You had missions you had to do throughout it. Effectively, you just had to earn money to open the next part of the city and progress. And I just remember that it wasn't so much about actually the gameplay in this, but just the driving around causing destruction. You could put the cheats in just for all the weapons with body armor, unlimited ammo, and just go around just blowing stuff up with a rocket launcher, the flamethrower, the machine gun, just shooting people, running people over to get the Garangas, trying to find out which car had the Grand Theft Auto music in. I think it's the Impala, although somebody let me know in the comments. It's been some time since I've actually picked this up and played it. And yeah, getting the police cars and then getting in the army base, getting the tank, all little things that just made this game so much fun. The insane stunt jumps as well. Just a brilliant game. I really, really enjoyed it, and was one of the reasons that I wanted to get the PlayStation 1. It's obviously aged quite horribly now when you compare it to, the newer Grand Theft Autos. I mean, even 3 just wowed me compared to this one. But at the time, just a brilliant game that really, really, really enjoyed. So that has to make it onto my list for nostalgic purposes. I'll put that one up there. So my number two game, again, was my best friend at the time, when I was in high school. He had a PlayStation 1 and just had loads of games that I remember it. And I just remember getting blown away by this game, by the game itself, by the soundtrack, just by the visuals of it. It just looked the part. And I think it's still, compare it to the others in the series, it's still like my favourite of the series. And I just don't think it'll be beaten from there. And of course, the game is Wipeout 2097. Amazing game. I mean, the soundtrack on this, you could just put the CD into your CD player and just listen to the music. That's before the game tracks were hard coded into it. And what did it have? It had Orbital. It had what was it? Prodigy. It had the Firestarter. Chemical Brothers, Loops of Fury. You can't even remember all of them, but you would listen to it, it would just come back to you. But yeah, just the racing thing. I remember that you could unlock a machine gun on it, or even the sound effects like the rocket when you just fire a rocket at the enemies, or the one where you kind of set the track kind of earthquake and it'll just mess up all your opponents. Amazing game. I really, really, really loved this game, and I put so many hours into playing it. And even when they brought out like Wipeout 3 or I got the original Wipeout, just nothing just compared to this. It was amazing, and therefore it's got to be my number 2 game out of this. So Grand Theft Auto is going to have to cover up Die Hard Trilogy now, because it's not in the top 5. So they're my first 2. So number 3. Now, again, when I was playing games with my friends, the series of games they had, I don't think I bought these when they came out new, but I remember Virgin Megastore would do this thing where they had a 2 for 30 on Platinum games. This isn't the Platinum release, I've actually got the Black Label release now. But I remember being really into this series with my friend, and I got 2 of them, one a 2 for 30, and he got the other one kind of on its own, which wasn't under that. And I just remember going around his, playing this game all day. I think we kind of stopped for lunch. I just carried on straight again afterwards and just did it until we completed it, and it was just that much into it. And I think it was on this occasion was him watching me playing, because I think if you bought the game, you played and the other one watched. But even that way round, it just didn't bother. We were just so engrossed in the story, in the kind of atmosphere of the game, that it just had to make the list. And this will always, I'll show you what it is, be better than the remake for me for that. So Resident Evil 2. So I know Sean went with Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 1, I didn't get till much later. I got Resident Evil 2 and I got Resident Evil 3 on a 2 for 30. And although Resident Evil 3 had Nemesis, which was, you know, a brilliant character in itself, just kind of chasing you around, after the initial kind of shock of Nemesis, like, oh my god, there's this indestructible like monster chasing me around, you knew that if you walked through one of those loading doors, then he just wouldn't turn up for a while. So the initial like panic of getting away from Nemesis and like rolling out the way before he would, you know, kick you in. If you went through one of the simple like doors, he would come after you. But if you went through a loading door, he'd just disappear for a bit. But this game set in a police station, the kind of going through a city trapped in the police station, then getting the underground kind of railway, I think it was, into the underground lab, and then actually having to, you know, fight the, what was it at the end? I think it was a giant eyeball monster, like an eyeball on the shoulder. It's been so long since I played it. That just blew me away, and still to this day, I haven't played a Resident Evil game for ages, but the one for the PS2 that stands out is Resident Evil 2 for me. So that is my number 3 game from this list. Now the last two games, like, we'll do, I don't know which order I got these in, to be fair. So I'll do this one first. Now this one, I'm putting this again, this is a sequel, so I'm putting this ahead of the first one, just because I think everything from the first game they just improved on and just made better. And I mean, I was blown away by the first game, and the kind of the graphics, the humour, the kind of the background, the style of it. I just loved everything about it. And when I played the sequel, it just wowed me over again even more. And the game in question is Oddworld Abe's Exodus. Now I remember my friend had this. He didn't have a case for some reason. He just had the 2 discs, and they were pretty scratched up. So I think that one of them played through absolutely fine, but when you got to the second disc, it really didn't work too well. And I remember on the first game, it was just so frustrating that you had to save. It took you into kind of the memory card manager system that you had on a PlayStation 1, but you had to delete the save to then make a new save. And it was frustrating as hell, that being just one of many things that just kind of frustrated me about this game. But this one had the new and improved save anywhere feature. There you go. So it must be right. But this game, the kind of just the extra level, they just upped the ante of it. I loved the first Abe's game. I loved Odyssey, but Exodus just took it a step further, and I loved the game. Now this one, I think I got from a cash converters. I remember going out with my parents at some point, went to a cash converters, and I saw it just sitting there, and I think they had it up for, I think it was like £7. It really wasn't very much, and this is a good while ago now. And I asked to see it. I opened it up, and it looked mint. It looked like somebody had got it and just thought, that looks rubbish, I'm not going to play it, and just cash converted it straight away. It was mint. And I mean, this is, I think, my original copy now, and the disc has seen some kind of wear since that. I did pick up like a really nice minty version like last year of this, so I'll be trying to do something to kind of preserve that one, maybe kind of frame it and just put it into some kind of feature. But this one, my copy, like, I just absolutely loved it. Played it to death, played it right through, and it's just a fantastic game. If you haven't played this, then you need to. Like, I don't think it's been remastered, although it might have been on a new and tasty. Not sure now, but definitely give it a go. So that's my number 4. Now number 5, this one is probably going to divide opinion, and probably quite, sensibly so, because of others that are within that series. So when I got to, I think it was college, I'd played kind of the other games of the series, and I'd not played this one. And it just, I think I got it for a tenner from Woolworths. This is kind of how far back it was. It was kind of sitting on the shelf. It wasn't in the charts. I think they were selling it off cheap at a tenner. And I wanted it, so I picked it up and I bought it. And I absolutely loved it. And I don't know why, because it's probably the most inferior one out of the series. But I just think it did better than the previous one in kind of gripping me. And I don't know why, because the other one's better. But yeah, some things you just can't explain to yourself. It's Final Fantasy VIII. Now, I was talking recently with Eddie Rollercore about this one, actually, and he's saying this is a game he'd like to put more time into over Final Fantasy VII, and everybody loves Final Fantasy VII, and rightly so. The characters in it are amazing, the story is amazing. This one kind of fell down on a lot of those things, but it just kind of upped the ante with the graphics. Obviously, I'm not talking about the actual kind of fight graphics, because the fight graphics on Final Fantasy VII were great. The kind of the in-game running around graphics, just they don't look great, do they? I mean, if you compare them, and probably be upsetting a lot of people now. But this game, just the graphics of it, the kind of Guardian forces looked just so much better. I just really enjoyed this game. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VII. I love Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy 7 and 9 are probably much better than this game, but at the time, this game just kind of just drew me in, and it had extra features on this one that the others didn't have. Like you could go for the memory card that you could load the Chocobo into and do that, which is a memory card that we didn't get over here. I think they got into Japan, but I remember getting a cheap disc off a magazine, which gave you 100 of every item. And it gave you stuff that you would only get otherwise through this memory card. So there was GFs in this game, like the Moogles and these little kind of, I don't know what they were, little fox creatures, things like that you couldn't actually get otherwise. Still built into the game, but just you couldn't unlock them without this memory card. Or the cheat disc I got from the magazine, which I've still got on my shelf. And yeah, it just wowed me. It just blew me away, and I absolutely loved it. So that's why that's my number 5. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for that. I haven't thought who I would like to tag in this, who's not been already tagged. So if he hasn't already, I'm going to go for Pete Fighter 2, because I would really like to know what his like PlayStation top 5 would be. And a new member into the community who deserves a shout out, but because I haven't done a pickups video, I'm not technically doing a shout out, but my shout out will be tagging him in this. So Cooper's World, very big supporter of the TMB podcast, a new guy into the community. I think he's actually nominated for YouTuber in a month as well, so go over and check out that. Gonaldinho Plays nominated from his month. I want to know what your top 5 PlayStation 1 nostalgic games are going to be. And if you haven't, I hope you pick up and have a go at these ones. But that is it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you soon in the next pickups video I do, which probably won't be too far away. But for now, take care, everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him.